We are in a panel discussion, and this is the first panel discussion of the day, and we are going to talk about the technology ecosystem that the state of Odisha has put in place in order to promote the IT. And we'll begin with the panel discussion itself, and now I'll do itself. Okay. The IT sector, let me come to you. I mean, during the inaugural session, we had a very in-depth discussion, especially around the fact as to how the state has created an ecosystem of innovation, transformation, and the kind of impact it is having across the state, the way you have been able to bring companies from outside the state. And there are a lot of things happening. You also focus on the semiconductor policy, which is going to come up. Could you give a brief sense of, especially as to what kind of response you are getting from the industry, and what is the supporting mechanism which is being put in place, especially around the private partnership? What is there for the private companies to come here in the state? If you can, from what you have spoken.
We did a lot of roadshows in the last, in fact, Principal Secretary Industry is there. He will also talk about the Make in Odisha roadshow that we did. While the government goes to the private sector, I would limit my talk on the IT part of the private investment. Generally, government goes with a policy. So we go with a policy, and then we tell that these are the incentives that are available. This is the infra that we have. Please come and invest. But it doesn't work like that. Every state does the same. We have federal competitiveness which is across the country. So what we do, Bengal will do, MP will do, Maharashtra will do, same thing will be done by all. But what differentiates Odisha from others is that we are the third largest supplier of tech people in the country. So that is where the crux lies. And what happened in 2019 to 21, we all know that COVID came. And as we all know that every cloud has a silver lining. The silver lining for us during COVID was that people started working from home. And once people started working from home and they had a resistance to go back to the same lifestyle that they had before, and people who are from Bangalore would know that now I think the property rent in Bangalore is about 3 times that than of 2018. Now companies will have to now come to the place where resources are available. Earlier the work model was the people, the employees will have to go to the offices of these companies. Now that has completely got transformed. So as I say, the 3 things which were there together before 2018 in the IT space was that the work, the worker and the workplace were in one place. All 3 of them. The work will be there, the worker will be there in the workplace. These 3 things got decoupled from 2020 onwards. So now what we see, the work could be anywhere, the worker could be in another place, and the workplace is definitely completely got decentralized. Now in that context, we rejigged our policies. So when Vijay asked me what we did and what is the response of the industry, we talked to the industry. So you saw in terms of semiconductor, we are talking to the VLSI, we are talking to ISA. So we are talking to the all industry representatives, asking them what do they need. And then we factored that into our policies and we brought out the policies which are the best in the country. As I said in the beginning, policies alone cannot bring companies here, no matter how much incentive you give. The inherent strength of the state is the manpower that we have. And you heard Ms. Usha Padhi talking about the skilling and how much importance Honorable CM Mr. Nabin Patnaik has been given to skilling that. People will talk about, people have started talking about, it's not only people are skilled, they are skilled in Odisha. So that has become a brand. So this manpower, coupled with the fact that we have been able to bring in good policies and during a setting in the entire globe where the workforce and workplace have got decoupled, this has come as an opportunity for a state like Odisha to make a big bang. And that's what we are doing, and we will continue to do that in all spheres, not only in the IT services, we will do that in the semiconductor, and we will do that adopting AI and ML in a large scale in the state.
Mr. Sharma, I'll come to you, and what we have observed over the years that the growth pattern, interest pattern, even for the businessman and the industry, are normally very zigzag. It's never been smooth, and you might have some economic challenges which might not be under the control of the state. There are a lot of foreign factors involved in. So, how has been state of Odisha been responsive to the need of the, because the kind of exuberance that the state has in order to attract the industry community, which I personally feel is commendable. So if you could share something on that as to how the policy framework is being supported.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ujale, our moderator for this panel. And as you could see, this is one of the most vibrant panels which could be assembled for an event like this. And I'm very happy to be a part of this panel with my colleagues, Mr. Mishra, Dr. Omkar Rai, and our representatives from STPI and also from the industry. And I can also see a very good mix of audience, and you represent not only the technology industry, as I can see, based out of Odisha, but also product and service suppliers from outside Odisha, and there is a good spattering of the other part of the industry also, which is not necessarily the technology provider industry, but the technology consumer industry. And my presentation here would basically try to tell you what is it that we have done in Odisha, which makes Odisha today one of the most attractive investment destinations in the country. While every state in the country is progressing and must progress, Odisha has made a name for itself in certain niche segments of industry, which provides new and more and better opportunities for technology companies, the hardcore technology companies, to find, do, and get more business out of what is actually happening in Odisha today. I'm sure that my colleague, Ms. Usha Padhi, who spoke earlier in the day, must have given you a very good idea of the skilling system, the skilling ecosystem which has come up in Odisha, and which is one of the important elements of what we have done in the state to enhance our ease of doing business, reduce the cost of doing business, and make Odisha an attractive place to do business. Now, I'll first give you a brief overview of what we have done. What is it that makes Odisha an attractive destination? And then what is possible for technology companies to find and do more business in relation to what is already happening in Odisha today and will happen in future. Now, what makes Odisha an attractive destination? What is it that makes Odisha attractive? Now, for those of you who are from the state, you must be familiar with all these parameters, but even then it sometimes makes sense to just collate all the strengths of the place where you live and work, and then see what is it that we can do further to enhance our business and business values in a place like Odisha. These are the 5 parameters which actually define our attractiveness: polity, policy, geography, economy, and demography. Now, what is polity? Polity is our political ecosystem. We are a political stable state. Today, our Honorable Chief Minister has been leading the state successfully for more than 22 years. He will just complete 23 years in about a fortnight from now. He must have done something for the people of Odisha, that in an intensely competitive democratic framework, he is being elected again and again and again by the people of Odisha. There must have been something good about our governance that this has happened. This is a strong contrast. This element of political stability is a strong contrast, is what differentiates us, distinguishes us in a positive manner from almost every other state in the country today. This is our unique strength. The second is our policy. We have put in place a policy ecosystem for the required segments of industry, which are progressive, best in class, responsive, and take into account the current and the future requirements of several industrial segments. And I'll explain a little more of it in my future slides. The third is our geography. Now, what is it in Odisha's geography? Can somebody guess what is it in Odisha's geography which makes us attractive? There are two things. First is that we are a resource-rich state. Our geography has endowed us with a huge reserve of minerals, natural resources, which are important for the mankind. The Gazetteer of Odisha, written during the pre-independence times, it says that every useful mineral known to mankind is mined in Odisha. This is certainly our strength. We are also a coastal state on the Bay of Bengal, which makes us amenable to development of ports and port-based industrial growth, port-based urbanization and industrialization is possible. This is our geographical advantage. Our economy, because of this resource richness and the way we have managed our finances in the last 2 decades, it also makes us one of the fastest growing economies in the country today. While India as a country is growing and will continue to grow, there is a difference in manner in which states within the country are growing, and today our growth is one of the fastest growth in the history of Odisha in India. Therefore, our economy today presents a very large market, a burgeoning market for every product and service category, which makes us Odisha attractive. And there is something more to it, which I'll just mention a little later, and demography. Demography is an advantage not only for Odisha, but every state in the country today. For India as a whole, demographic is an advantage provided we do something about it. And what is it that we need to do? We need to provide what is called public goods and services, public education, public health, public skill development. If governments invest heavily in making our youth employable, giving them skills which are required not for 1980 but for 2030, then this demography, instead of being a challenge, it actually becomes an advantage, and we have done that in Odisha, which gives us a tremendous advantage. Now, this 22 years of political stability, progressive policies, and pro-people governance, what has it given us? It has given us a tremendous economic advantage. Our growth of GSTB, the growth of our economies today, we are amongst the top 3 fastest growing states in the country consistently. Not once or twice in the last 5 years or in the last decade, but consistently. We have bridged the gap between us and the urbanized and industrialized states in west and south and north of India. Today, we enjoy economic growth minus the disadvantages which come because of economic growth and which have been seen, the negativities of economic growth which come generally in terms of pollution, in terms of traffics, in terms of what is called environmental degradation is not seen in Odisha. Today morning before I came here, I was having a meeting with an IFC delegation who have come from Singapore to look into public-private partnership infrastructure projects in Odisha. The first thing they mentioned to me was that they were able to drive from the Bhubaneswar airport to Trident and back to Kharvel Bhavan, which is our secretariat, in 20 minutes without any traffic snarl anywhere. They were able to breathe good air. They were also able to look at greenery in the city. This is a unique advantage. Wherever you go today in any metropolitan or growing even tier 2 cities in India, what confronts you is certainly growth, urbanization, but with the negativities of growth and urbanization associated with it, which today, fortunately, our state enjoys a tremendous advantage. My friend Manoj Mishra was mentioning to you about companies going to places where there are efficient and skilled workers. Today, companies also want to go to places where it is possible for workers to come to office in half an hour, in 20 minutes, 15 minutes, rather than spending 2 hours, 3 hours, one way or both, sometimes both ways, just on the road. Today, which is our IT capital, Manoj bhai? What is the IT capital of the country? Bangalore. Bangalore is the IT capital of the country. But almost majority of the IT workers in Bangalore spend more time on the road than they spend in the offices. Even other tier 1 cities, this is a problem, and there seems to be no available or readily implementable solution to this kind of a challenge. Fortunately, in Odisha, economic growth has been planned, has been done in a sustainable manner, and has not led to this kind of a situation. This is our advantage, which is known. We are the number one source of iron ore, bauxite, very large source of coal, chromite, and other mineral reserves. But that is just one part of the story. We were always the leaders in mineral production, but today we are also the leaders in metal and metallurgy. We are the largest producer of steel, largest producer of stainless steel, largest producer of alumina, largest producer of aluminium, largest producer of chromium, largest producer of magnesium, largest producer of all ferroalloys, and very large producer of cement. And this advantage in metal and metallurgy will continue to grow. Why? But why is that so? These minerals were always there. These minerals are not, these minerals we did not discover in last 5 years or 10 years. These minerals were discovered when the Britishers were here. Because at some point of time, our government decided that while we will continue to encourage the mining industry because it is important for our economic growth, we will also promote through policy a principle of value addition. So therefore, now those who take minerals from the state, they are welcome to do so, because everything which is mined in Odisha cannot be converted to metal in Odisha, but we provide tremendous infrastructure, policy advantage to those who would want to manufacture steel, stainless steel, alumina, aluminium, and cement and other alloys and other products in the state today. Therefore, the world's largest, second largest, and third largest steel plants are being set up in Odisha. The world's largest aluminum complex is even today in Odisha, and even the second largest complex close to Angul is also coming up. Therefore, this advantage of mineral, which many other states have, but we have also been able to convert this advantage of mineral into metal and further value addition. This is a tremendous strength which we have. Now look at this map of Odisha and compare it with the previous map of our mineral resources. You will find that there is planning. This manufacturing of steel, stainless steel, aluminium has not happened on its own. There is a plan behind it. And what is that plan? You would find that where we have tried to reduce the infrastructure challenge by taking industry to the mineral belt. We have tried to reduce the logistics challenge by bringing industries towards port-based locations. You will find that where is the world's largest steel plant coming up? It is coming up at a new port location, Mahakalpada. Where is the world's second largest steel plant coming up? It is coming up in an existing port at close to Paradip. Therefore, this planned industrial development, which has a bearing on our geographical richness, had been done by government in order to sustain the industrial growth. Therefore, we have industrialization and urbanization minus the negativities of these two, which you would find in many other places. We are also leaders in chemicals, petrochemicals, and why is that so? Because we leverage the presence of ports. Again, the geographical advantage of having port locations, Dhamra, Paradip, Gopalpur, Suvarnrekha, we leverage this to attract chemicals and petrochemicals industries. They can import raw material like crude or other raw material from places where they are available, and then convert domestic sales as well as export sales are possible. Today, Dhamra and Paradip and Gopalpur, together with Gopalpur, are most vibrant chemical industrial hubs in the country today. The largest amount of green hydrogen and green ammonia plants, which are the latest in chemical sector and are futuristic, are being set up at Paradip and Gopalpur in Odisha because of the way we have encouraged industrial development along our port locations. Same thing for textiles, technical textiles and apparel. The advantage came from our skills, from our skilled manpower, and we leveraged that advantage to get those industries. About 7 years ago, I had gone to meet Shahi Exports in Delhi. And then they took us to one of their plants close to Delhi, and we saw that almost 60% of the workers were from Odisha. We invited Shahi Exports to come to Bhubaneswar. They were always here. They were taking skilled manpower from Odisha. In 2016, they set up the first plant. In 2022, they set up the second plant. In 2023, they are setting up the third plant. Same story with Aditya Birla Fashion Retail, Orient Craft, Wild Lotus, Wild Republic, Cotton World, SAPL, Indian Stitches, and so on and so forth. Every apparel and garment and technical textiles maker today wants to set up an industry in Odisha because of we don't have the raw material. We don't have the market for all this. But we invested heavily in our skilled manpower, which is what attracted them to Odisha, coupled with the organized, sustainable industrial development and urban growth which we are able to give to them. Same thing for food processing and seafood processing industry. Seafood was always a geographical advantage which we had, but food processing is the advantage which we brought today. Now I'll just ask, where do you think would be India's largest tea packaging unit? Any guess? Where would be India's largest tea packaging unit? Gupta ji, aap bataiye. Because tea is there, right? I would say this is an intelligent answer. Actually, it is at Gopalpur in Odisha. India's largest tea packaging unit is at Gopalpur in Odisha. You can actually go and see 5,000 workers and all the tea, and that's just one company. All the tea which is grown, I mean not all of course, but a good part of tea which is grown in Northeast or even down south, Nilgiris, substantial part comes to Gopalpur. Why? Because there is a port and it is then packaged and sent all the way. Obviously, we are not the largest tea consuming state in the country. Okay. Now, where do you think is India's largest noodle making plant? Where could it be? Sir, again Odisha. That's a logical choice. That's a logical guess. It is actually in Bhubaneswar. It is just outskirts of Bhubaneswar. Indo-Nissin is a company, Japanese company, which has India's largest noodle making plant just outskirts of Bhubaneswar. They came here in the year 2014-15, set up the first plant, 5 acres, took another 10 acres, another 10 acres. Now it has become their largest plant. Food processing. I'll just give you an example. Why is that so? On 21st or 26th, 26th of November, the chairperson of Jaipuria Corp, who are Asia's largest bottlers for Pepsi, he flew down to Bhubaneswar. We took him to a place outskirts of Bhubaneswar to show him a patch of land. And on 23rd of January, the land was with them. Boundary wall had been completed. So 60 days. And right now, the plant is under construction. 40 acres of land given in 60 days. Plant under construction. All approvals were given in 6 days. Where could be Reserve Bank of India's largest data center in India? Any guess? Data center. You know, it's not a food factory or a noodle factory or a Pepsi bottling plant. Where could it be? He said it. Why should RBI's data center and the digital currency processing unit be in Bhubaneswar? Why should it be? Because what Manoj Mishra was mentioning to you. Because our policy, the policy which we have put in place, the skills advantage, the urban growth minus the disadvantages of urbanization is today outskirts of Bhubaneswar. So, the data center of RBI is coming up just outskirts of Bhubaneswar, and there are 3 other data centers. I cannot take their names, but you can guess There are four. The four, they are coming up. They are private companies, and as a government servant, I am not authorized to take their names because they are listed companies. Four of them are coming out outskirts of Bhubaneswar. Why? Because it takes 20 minutes from the Bhubaneswar airport to go to the largest IT complex in India today. 800 acres of IT facility outskirts of Bhubaneswar. And this is the facility, Info Valley. Where in India could you drive from a state capital airport to a IT complex in 20 minutes? Minus any traffic signal or anything? Only in Bhubaneswar. Where in India could an IT complex have 5 national level institutes within 5 kilometers? IIT, Triple IIT, OUTR, NISER, AIMS, and many others. KIT, for instance, SOA, only Bhubaneswar. This advantage is now working to the advantage of Odisha. Therefore, this is what has given us the attractiveness for which we are known. No wonder that in 3 days we were able to garner investments more than 10 lakh crores. It is not gimmickry. It is not any magic. It is the investment in education, skill development, infrastructure, political stability, and economic growth. This is what Odisha's advantage is. Look at this list of parks which we have set up across the state. The National Highway 16 connects us Kolkata to Chennai. The Western Expressway connects us to all parts of the state. All these parks are located strategically to give you this advantage. This is Info Valley. This is the ESDM park at Bhubaneswar. All states today have single window services, right? But that is my photograph getting the National Award for E-Governance in Single Window. We must have done something. Kuch to humne kiya hoga. Today, we are able to provide 54 clearances of 18 departments in one single application. Highly competitive cost of doing business. I was in Mumbai a few weeks ago, and we were having a meeting of industries, steel and aluminum, downstream extrusions, forgings, castings, and pressure die castings. So I asked one of the participants, what is the cost of electricity that you are paying in Thane? What could it be? Any guess? Again, Gupta ji, what could be the cost of electricity in one of the most industrialized parts of India, outskirts of Mumbai, in Thane? What could be? Any guess? 14 rupees. 14 rupees per unit of electricity. What is it? And their competitor, so this company, I can name it, this company is Danieli. This company is Danieli, which does steel plants. And they have a competitor in India called SMS, who have a plant outskirts of Bhubaneswar, which is outside of Europe, their largest plant. What is it that SMS is paying? 5 rupee 85 paise. Cost of doing business. We were in Punjab, in Ludhiana, doing an investment promotion event for steel downstream auto component industry. And after the meeting was over, one CEO of a company called Happy Forgings, which does Atlas, Hero plants and all, he asked me that how many days is power holiday in Odisha? So I had never heard this word power holiday. So I had no answer. What is a power holiday? What could be a power holiday? So he then told me that, and I asked him, what is power holiday? He said, power holiday is when power does not come. So in Punjab, there is a power holiday of 2 days. 2 days, so you will, out of 7 days, you will have power only 5 days. 2 days, you have no power. Obviously, industries will not close for 2 days, process-based industries, so they run DG sets, diesel generator sets, and each unit costs 30 rupees. The government otherwise gives electricity at 6 rupees a unit for 5 days, and then for 2 days, you run the DG sets at 30 rupees a unit. That is the advantage of Odisha, and that's why we are attractive, highly skilled workforce. My colleague Usha must have explained this to you. Last year, Government of India released top 100 ITIs. Top 100 ITIs in the country, 11 ITIs were from Odisha. 11. See, we constitute 4%. We are 4% of India's population, but 11% of the best ITIs of India are in Odisha. That is why you have all the industries coming to Odisha, not because of any magic or any gimmickry. This is what we have done for our state. Now, this is my last slide. So I was wondering that, whatever I told till now is my usual presentation, which I make everywhere. That's what government pays me for. But then I thought that this is a technology show, and there must be companies, there must be people who are interested to know what is in it for us. Why should we participate in steels, aluminum, food processing, noodles, etc., etc. Most important, the growth which is happening in Odisha today is all in modern industry. This modern industry today thrives on technology. Imagine two districts of Odisha, Keonjhar and Sundargarh, from where very large volumes of minerals are transported to ports. Does it not call for technology choices to be made in fleet management, in testing, and in providing efficient ICT backbone to all this logistics movement which takes place? Look at all the steel plants, the technology which they use today in the control systems, it is all changing. Look at all the chemical industries plants and all. Almost 25% of their OPEX comes not from chemical processing, but from data processing. The way they use data for efficiency gain in their services is phenomenal. You go to Shahi Exports plant in Mancheshwar, in Bhubaneswar, or Aditya Birla Fashion Related plant, you will find more space being devoted to use of ICT technology in design, in production planning, in commercial aspects, and in manpower planning than anywhere else in India. These are new opportunities. It is for technology companies, for entrepreneurs, for new startups like you, who can actually try and solve problems of all these industries in making them more modern, in making them more oriented towards how businesses will be done in future. I can just give you one example. Compare the Paradip port with the Singapore port, right? Just these two, very, very easy. Singapore does not produce anything, but it is 10 times of the size of Paradip. Paradip thrives on Odisha's mineral and metal resources, but more ships are handled by Singapore port. Why? Not because of minerals or anything, but because of the technology deployed in port management. Is this not a business case for Paradip or Gopalpur or Astarang or Suvarnrekha, and for people like you to study, look at those technologies? What is it that technology service providers in Singapore port are able to do, which we can implement in Paradip? And instead of handling 100 ships per day, maybe we could handle 200 ships per day. And instead of having a 35-kilometer long queue for unloading of minerals, maybe we can have just a 5-kilometer long queue. Can we do something by infusing more IT into this logistics? Certainly, these are business opportunities which could become open for you. So friends, that's all that I wanted to tell you. I know I took a lot of time, but I'm sure that it must have been useful for at least some of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Sharma, for giving a very elaborate presentation on the kind of opportunities and some of the work that the industry department has done in order to promote the state. Now I'll go to Dr. Rai. Dr. Rai, you come from a startup Odisha, and we believe that all the thing that Mr. Sharma has been talking about, and there is no doubt that Odisha is a mineral-rich state. But you need the agility and scalability and exuberance and the innovative power of the startups. And there the role of a young startup and young entrepreneur becomes really, really important. Would you like to share, as an executive chairman of a startup Odisha, what kind of response you are getting in the state, and if there is any challenge as to how you are trying to address those challenges?
First of all, I must thank you and ET government for organizing this very event at a very opportune time and affording an opportunity to me to be part of this August panel. My colleagues from the government of Odisha, Sri Manoj Mishra ji, Sri Hemant Sharma ji, made very impressive and very factual presentation. In fact, this is the kind of state which is growing through the policies. It's a policy-driven state. And therefore, I would say that Startup Odisha is also driven by a policy which came into 2016, which was subsequently revised in 2018. And it has yielded a lot of result. We are happy about it, but we are not contented. And therefore, at this moment, we are revising this policy. As it is apparent from the presentation that we are a very leading state in agricultural production, mineral mining, plastic, chemical. We have largest ports, heavy engineering companies, manufacturing base. And therefore, the challenge today in the state is to make sure that the kind of uh, benefit we can draw, downstreaming we can create from these industries, manufacturing industry. And that downstreaming can be achieved only by promoting the MSME sector and the startup sector. The startup sector obviously implies and deploys a lot of technologies, and therefore it becomes scalable. And therefore, our policy, Startup Odisha policy, works in close collaboration, coordination with other policies of the state. You have heard Sri Manoj Mishra ji mentioned about they have separate policies for separate technologies. And this is the kind of policy that we have created over a period of time. And therefore, the Startup Odisha policy, and as an organization, we leverage from those policies which are already there, from the line department, from the sectoral department. Say it agriculture department, food processing, electronics and IT, higher education department, technology, technical education department, and such other department, we all work in tandem, hand in hand. The Startup Odisha has, as of now, about 1,600 startup. We work very closely with 27 incubation ecosystem that we have, and these incubators are working in various domains of technology and the sectors. The kind of objective and mission we have that we will open at least one incubator in each district. We will encourage all the educational institutions and incentivize them to open incubator. You have seen from the presentation that we produce about 1.9 lakhs engineers graduates every year from this state. And Bhubaneswar has emerged as the very a hub of educational institution with IT industry close to 40,000 employment. And therefore, the Startup Odisha has plans in place to leverage from the ecosystem that we have. As I always say that we have achieved the critical mass, and our policies and programs that we have will actually capitalize on that critical mass and take the journey of a startup ecosystem further at a very fast pace, as a very accelerated pace. I would just, we have a very brief time. I must say that Odisha government is very ambitious. When I joined, we had 60,000 square feet of space OHUB. And therefore, very soon the government decided that let us position the Startup Odisha as top 3, top 5 destination in the country. And in no time, it was decided that let us have 4 lakhs square feet of space just for an incubator of the state. That is called OHUB. We have 2 towers, 12 floor each, and that is the kind of infrastructure that is going to be dedicated to the startup ecosystem of this state in January 2024. We will have multiple incubator, multiple center of excellences. We have all the kind of facilities for the ecosystem players. And therefore, when we will meet in January or February 2024, we will see where we are in terms of promoting the startup ecosystem in the state. I must say that we are working very closely with the ecosystem so that everything that is required for the entrepreneurs and startups, so that they can access everything that is required by them, and we are providing them. We have, I think, run out of time, and therefore, thank you.
Dr. Goyal, I'll come to you. You come from government of Madhya Pradesh, and we know that there are a lot of self-realization has happened in Madhya Pradesh. You have organization which you represent, MPSCDC, you have MAP IT, you have IT department, and most of them become so independent in a way they are able to create application, technology, product and solution themselves and rolling out. And you also have a huge focus on ESDM. Would you like to share as to how the state of Madhya Pradesh are collaborating with other states like Odisha on best practices, and how you are trying to attract industry from a policy framework point of view in the state? If you could share some thoughts of yours.
Yeah, first of all, I would like to convey my thanks to Manoj Mishra sir to invite Madhya Pradesh in this conclave. And one thing I would like to bring to your notice that Madhya Pradesh is the state where IT department and science and technology department were merged a couple of years back. Initially, it was thought that why such a decision is being taken, but later on we realized because merging the two departments brought research and innovation plus application together hand in hand. Similar to other states, Madhya Pradesh also have the policies on IT, ITES and ESDM policy. Also, recently we have come up with the science, technology and innovation policy, where we are facilitating investors to with the capital subsidies and interest subsidies. But one thing which is different, we are also facilitating the skill gap coverage. Also the certification incentives. So that is there. But apart from these two policies, where Madhya Pradesh is taking lead, that is the geospatial data policy we have framed. We were the first state to frame that policy because if you talk about any development, whether setting up of industry or any facilitating the departments to make the decision support systems or to provide the citizen services, you need to have the information available for each land unit or land parcel. And I'm proud to say that Madhya Pradesh is the state where every land parcel and the building footprints are mapped on GIS and that is available. And that facilitates to develop various kind of sectors. Like for example, Madhya Pradesh is having the largest solar park that is called RAMS, Reva Ultra Mega Solar Park, and many other small and medium-sized solar parks are there, and we are leading in solar energy industry to come up. And but all that is been because we had all the land parcels mapped. So in a very short time, our revenue department and the energy department could take a decision to find a suitable site to set up these parks. Similarly, for industrial development also, we have the industrial land banks. So any industrialist want, quickly we can take the decision. So this geospatial data policy, and Government of India has come up with the geospatial data policy recently, but because Madhya Pradesh has taken a lead in this, so we are almost on the top in various projects launched by the Government of India, whether it is AgriStack or if you are talking about the Bhu Aadhar or the Alpin, so that every land parcel should have a unique identifier. Apart from that, we also envisage that what are the areas which are coming up. For example, the drone sector has started growing very fast. So in last 1.5 or 2 years, my department, Department of Science and Technology, took a lead to establish a small center within MPSCDC, and we started creating the different SOPs and the specifications for the departments. So basically, we define the use cases so that department can adopt the technology as soon as it grows. And when the Government of India came up with the liberalization of drone under the drone policy, immediately we were ready with the state task force and the recommendations, and we could implement that in the state. And now almost all the departments, line departments, whether it is forest or urban or mining, they are ready to adopt the drone technology in their departments.
Right.
So that way we are leveraging this industry to grow.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So
Right.
that is
Yes.
one.
Mr. Lal, I'll come to you now. We have seen the presentation that you and Ms. Aditi has given, and you have very rightly emphasized that experience has become really important. So whatever we have been talking about so far, be it the IT department, industry, startup Odisha, ultimately there are stakeholders, and then there are engagements, right? And those engagements has to go right. Would you like to share your views, especially on as to how Fresh Work is looking at these things, how you are creating an enabling environment for government organization to address some of these challenges, and the kind of opportunities that you see in the state of Odisha in a generic way, if you could share.
Thanks, Vijale, and I would like to thanks everybody, especially the state of Odisha and ET for involving us in this kind of an event. And and whatever Hemant sir mentioned during his presentation, I am sure that much information is not also available online on several websites. So, and it's rightly said that Odisha is best kept secret of India. So, a lot of information came in. From the organization's point of view, I can just say that when Freshwork established, it was also in a startup. From there, we have now been able to come at a stage that now we are supporting a startup culture. Like in Odisha, it's one of the very big startup sessions going on under Sir. And we support those kind of engagement. We are a very active member of Meet Startup Hub, Invest India, Startup India, and a very big contributor for the upcoming startups within the country and overseas. So we would also like to be part of the journey what Omkar sir is doing for the state, and be sure that we are supporting the budding entrepreneurs of the state, right? And we can always see that how we can work on the MOUs and what are the terms of that is a different thing. But before coming here, I have also had a chance to interact with Manoj sir during my previous visit here, and I must say Odisha has done a tremendous job, not in terms of investment or food processing or anything, but IT also. They have excellent solutions in place. They understand the importance of feedback and grievances. Grievances are not only negative but are positive in nature. It gives you a chance to improvise. And improving yourself is a daily activity. It's not a one-time activity. And their solutions are tremendous. I've seen those things. But there are a lot of avenues where we can contribute, like a lot of departments still does not have a very good feedback mechanism system. They are still dependent only on the means of IVRs or calls. There is no centralized mechanism of sourcing the feedback and grievances from emails or from the social media, but people are active on that. People and the citizens would not want to have a separate app for every other services. Right. They would want a common platform, or probably the platforms on which they are comfortable, which is most likely the email or the social media channels. Everybody has a Gmail account. If you 10 department will tell the boss, you please download my app and then you can raise a service request. They may not be comfortable. How many they will do for the municipality, for the road safety, for the traffic? No. So why not a common place? We help create a common thing in that. We integrate the services from all the aspects. And this is what we have been doing. At several places, we are running this WCD in some of the states, which is eventually connected with 100 or 112. But that's a separate thing. At some places, we are trying to run the senior citizen helplines. At some places, we are putting solutions like universities, because university, everybody knows that there is a lot of students' query which is happening. Pretty generic queries, but there are not a lot of people to support them. And they get like 2,000, 3,000 queries per day. If you talk about the discoms, they get roughly 20,000 communications per day. I was having a conversation in one of the state yesterday. They said, in the population of 11 CR, we get 25,000 communications per day. In one of the largest state of the country, the number of requests come every day, not only complaints, but the inquiries and everything, 28,000 per day. During COVID, at the highest peak in summer, it raised up to 60,000. So how do you tackle? You don't expect a human being to tackle that number of flows. You need solutions. And central solution always helps to decide the workflows, that who is the concerned person. Citizens should not be aware, and you don't expect a citizen to know that this, if there is a road damage or a pothole, it will be managed by NHAI or PWD, or if there is a lamp post on that, it will be managed by electricity department. Who will be responsible? They want a single source that I need to raise my complaint here. That is the job of the government to decide who will take care of this. I want this pole to be removed. I want this road to be cleared. So those solutions we are working upon, and we are getting support from Manoj sir's office, and Omkar sir definitely will work together. But I must say again that Hemant sir's information was more than Wikipedia and Google can give.
Right.
That was great. I believe sir is the source of information for Wikipedia also.
Right.
Wonderful, sir. So
I think
that is what I want to say. Thank you.
Absolutely. So far we have spoken a lot good thing about the Odisha. So this is the last round, and just 30 seconds. What is the one challenge that you are facing, that you are trying to address, at which the industry could listen and possibly throw back some solution to you? 30 seconds.
The biggest challenge that we have is not having internet connectivity democratically across the state. While we put numbers of where we are best, the state which has the largest number of villages without any mobile connectivity, forget about internet connectivity, even mobile connectivity, still is Odisha. We have, on last count, 6,000 villages are unconnected out of 42,000 villages. Second state is Maharashtra. The issue is that there are, I think in the morning session it was also raised by Chief Secretary, there are legacy issues of Department of Telecom, how it has populated the mobile towers. Now, fortunately or unfortunately, it is the predominant people in the sector are private sector. But be it as it may, Honorable CM has made this a point, because everything is going to get delivered only when the internet service providers are available. For example, banking. We are one of the largest unbanked state. Why? Because there is no internet. Now, everything depends on the infrastructure of internet. So we are not talking about only roads, we are talking about the information highways. So with Honorable CM's guidance and his persistence, we have been able to now get the sanction from USOF that I would like to happy to share, that all villages of Odisha, possibly in the next 18 months, will have mobile connectivity of 4G standard. So that's a solution that we'll have. But this continues to be the biggest challenge. And while mobile service providers will come, I think I'll still discuss with people, because I think we'll have a lot of COEs, especially in the manufacturing side, where a lot of activities we can do in terms of researching on 5G and its use cases. So that is an area where I would like to, to interact.
Mr. Sharma, one biggest opportunity that industry has, which you can actually share with them.
Logistics. I mean, providing solution to logistics companies and helping companies move material more efficiently with more infusion of ICT is, I think, could be big business, technology business in Odisha.
Dr. Rai, one of the biggest traction that you have noticed in the startup ecosystem here in the state, which other startup could actually fetch in and try to get into it? Which one that would be?
In fact, if you look at the startup profile of this state, we have, apart from emerging technology, the second largest chunk comes from agriculture and food processing. We have startup even in chemical and petroleum, and they are doing very well. In fact, if you look at the entire industrial profile of the state, you can easily map the number of startup or profile of startup which are actually benefiting from the state's ecosystem and resources and natural resources and infrastructure. I will take it further that the greatest challenge for us would be to connect our startup ecosystem with corporate and manufacturing industry, so that the state benefits from the infrastructure, from the manufacturing base, from the natural resources that we have, and accrues it, proliferates to the downstream.
Right. Dr. Goel, what would be one of the latest and the biggest call to action for the industry in the Madhya Pradesh, especially with MPSEDC?
The one thing which we are focusing is the citizen services and good governance. And we believe that there was a time when we were working on reactive governance, but now it has shifted to proactive governance. And to do that, we are creating various kind of systems where citizens are enabled or empowered to get the services like what Freshworks was showing in their presentation, similar type of chatbots using AI and ML, and integrating the various databases. Like for example, we have a program called Single Citizen Database. Now the government has got everything about every citizen. A child is born, you are registering that child. The child goes to school, you are taking all the information, you are providing the certificates, then goes for the higher education, then goes to the job, till death. Birth to death, government has having every document. Then why should we ask the documents again and again from a citizen? So if we have a single citizen database where you can verify every citizen on its own by integrating various databases lying at different places in silos. So one example, our Honorable CM recently announced the scheme of Ladli Behna, where the women are getting the Samman Nidhi of 1,000 rupees they will get every month in their accounts. Now, to register them and for their verification, entire system is completely online. They have no need to produce any kind of document for that.
Right.
So that way you need to empower, and every day lakhs of entries are being done.
Right.
And in just couple of days, almost 90% of the spectrum is already covered. So that is the way how you have to provide these services to the citizen. And now here also, the data sharing. When you are opening the data to the industry and to the common people, where they can have the access to the data and they can develop the systems on top of that.
Right.
That is also one sector where we are working very fast.
Absolutely.
So that is the way how MP is trying to look at.
Mr. Amit Lal, one unique problem that you have solved for any state which you feel that the state of Odisha should imbibe? Anything that you have done for any government or enterprises which has a unique case and possibly could be imbibed here?
See, Ujale, every state has got a different requirement and different setup. Like if you see some of the matured states like Karnataka or Maharashtra for that matter, they've already done a lot of things. Odisha becomes one of the very progressive and upcoming place to be. So we are closely working with the team to understand what can be best fit in here. Seeking some examples from the enterprise vertical, where when we are, like Aditi was mentioning, that we are managing a lot of citizen communication or maybe customer communication, I would say, the enterprise space through chatbots only. Nobody talks to anybody these days. Even on the platforms like Flipkart or Zomato, eventually, which we are managing only, you just do a chatbot discussion and you get your refund or your queries are getting solved. This can also be done in the government fraternity. And if you see the population, which is especially in the age group of 25 to 40, they may be driving or riding a car or something and they would like to chat with somebody, not on a call. Even with friends, they chat more, less of a call these days, because they would be doing a multitasking thing. So chats are very important, and we are also discussing with ChatGPT to enable and join our solution with, so that we can serve them better.
Right.
And these things definitely I'll be proposing them to the state and departments as and when we discuss.
Absolutely. With this, we come to the conclusion of this panel discussion. We have completely exhausted our time. I think you all have been a great panelist and very open in terms of sharing your views and also sharing the opportunities and challenges that industry, our people, our technology partners can actually solve can come into the state of Odisha. So thank you so much for being such a wonderful panelist. Thank you.